Richard Trenton Chase was a notoriously gruesome American serial killer who killed 6 people in the span of a month in California. He would drink the blood of his victims and eat their internal organs, earning him the nickname the Vampire of Sacramento. He was a paranoid schizophrenic who believed that he needed to prevent the Nazis from turning his blood into powder via poison they had planted beneath his soap dish. He was born in 1950 in Santa Clara, California. His household was strict and he was beaten often by his father. By the age of 10, Chase exhibited evidence of the McDonald triad: bedwetting, arsonism, and cruelty to animals, which is seen as possible indicators of future violent tendencies by some. In his adolescence, he was known as an alcoholic and a chronic drug abuser. In high school, Chase had a handful of girlfriends, none of whom he was able to maintain a steady relationship with due to his inability to achieve or maintain an erection in the presence of females. Chase had an aversion to conventional sex and could only achieve arousal and orgasm through violent or disturbed acts such as killing animals and necrophilia. He developed hypochondria as he matured, often complaining that his heart would occasionally stop beating or that someone had stolen his pulmonary artery. He held oranges on his head, believing vitamin C would be absorbed by his brain via diffusion. He also believed that his cranial bones had become separated and were moving around, so he shaved his head in order to watch this activity. He believed that his mother was trying to poison him, so he moved into an apartment with some friends. His roommates complained that he was constantly intoxicated on alcohol, marijuana, and LSD. He would also walk around the apartment nude, even in front of company. Chase's roommates demanded that he move out. When he refused, the roommates moved out instead. Now alone in the apartment, Chase began to capture, kill, and disembowel various animals, which he would then devour raw, sometimes mixing the raw organs with Coca-Cola in a blender and drinking the concoction. Chase believed that by ingesting the creatures he was preventing his heart from shrinking. In 1975, Chase was involuntarily committed to a mental institution upon being taken to a hospital after injecting rabbit's blood into his veins. Chase escaped from the hospital and went to his mother. He was apprehended and sent to an institution for the criminally insane, where he often shared with the staff fantasies about killing rabbits. He was once found with blood smeared around his mouth. Hospital staff discovered that he had captured 2 birds through the bars on his bedroom windows, snapped their necks, and sucked their blood out. Among themselves, the staff began referring to him as Dracula. It was here where he was formally diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. After undergoing a battery of treatments involving psychotropic drugs, Chase was deemed no longer a danger to society, and in 1976 he was released under the recognizance of his mother. Chase's mother weaned him off the medication and got him his own apartment. Alone again, he began to capture and torture to death and then drink the blood of rabbits, dogs, and cats. He would also sometimes kill and eat neighbours' pets, and at least once contacted the neighbour by telephone to explain what he had done. At the same time, he developed a fascination with firearms and purchased several handguns, with which he practiced obsessively. He became fascinated by the crimes of the Hillside Strangler. He believed the Strangler was also the victim of the Nazi UFO conspiracy that he believed he was a victim of. He lost interest in caring for himself, neglecting personal hygiene such as bathing, grooming, and brushing his teeth. He stopped eating and dropped to 145 pounds. One day in 1977, he went to his mother's house, and when she answered the door, he threw a dead cat at her. He then ripped its stomach open with his bare hands and stuck his hands inside the cat, smearing his blood all over his face while screaming. His mother calmly returned inside the house and did not report the incident to anyone. In August 1977, Nevada State Police discovered Chase's Ford Ranchero lodged in a sand drift near Pyramid Lake, Nevada. Inside were 2 rifles, a pair of clothes, a bucket full of blood, and a cow's liver. The officers tracked down Chase, who was naked and screaming in the sand, soaked from head to toe in blood. When questioned, he claimed that the blood was his own, and that it had leaked out of him through his flesh. On December 27, 1977, Chase fired a .22 handgun into the home of a Sacramento woman. A police search of the woman's home found the slug in her kitchen. No one was harmed. On December 29, 1977, Chase killed his first victim in a drive-by shooting. The victim was Ambrose Griffin, a 51-year-old engineer and father of 2, who was helping his wife bring groceries into their home. It was determined that the .22 used to kill Ambrose Griffin was the same one used to fire the bullet into the kitchen of the Sacramento woman 2 days before. 2 weeks later, he attempted to enter the home of another woman, but finding that her doors were locked, went into her backyard and walked away. Chase later told detectives that he took locked doors as a sign that he was not welcome, but that unlocked doors were an invitation to come inside. While wandering around, he encountered a girl named Nancy Holden, with whom he had attended high school. He attempted to get a ride from her, but frightened by his appearance, she refused. He went down the street where he broke into the home of a young married couple, stole some of their valuables, urinated into a drawer of their infant's clothing, and defecating on their son's bed. The couple came home while Chase was still in the house. The husband attacked him, but Chase escaped. Chase continued to attempt to enter homes until he came across the home of David and Teresa Wallen. David was at work. Teresa, 3 months pregnant, was in the middle of taking out the garbage and thus had left her front door unlocked. Chase surprised her in the home and shot her 3 times, killing her. Chase then dragged the body to her bedroom and raped it post-mortem while repeatedly stabbing it with a butcher knife. When he had finished, he carved the corpse open and removed several of her internal organs, using a bucket to collect the blood and then taking it in the bathroom to bathe in it. He then sliced off her nipple and drank the blood using an empty yogurt container as a drinking glass. Before leaving, he went into the yard, found a pile of dog feces, and returned to stuff it into the corpse's mouth and throat. On January 27th, Chase committed his final murder, which also qualifies as mass murder. He entered the home of 38-year-old Evelyn Myroth, who was babysitting her 22-month-old nephew, David. Also present in the home was Evelyn's 6-year-old son, Jason, and Dan Meredith, a neighbour who had come over to check on Evelyn. Evelyn was in the bath while Dan watched the children. He went into the front hallway when Chase entered the home and was shot in the head at point-blank range with Chase's .22 handgun, killing him instantly. Chase then turned the corpse over and stole Dan's wallet and car keys. Jason ran to his mother's bedroom where Chase fatally shot him twice in the head at point-blank range. On the way to killing Jason, Chase also shot David in the head. Chase then entered the bathroom and fatally shot Evelyn once in the head. He dragged her corpse onto the bed where he simultaneously sodomized it and drank its blood from a series of slices to the back of the neck. When Chase had finished, he stabbed her at least half a dozen times in the anus. He stabbed her in a series of vital points in her body, which caused blood from her internal organs to pool into her abdomen, which he then sliced open and drained into a bucket. He then consumed all of the blood. Chase then went to retrieve David's corpse. He took it to the bathroom and split its skull open in the bathtub and consumed some of the brain matter. Outside, a 6-year-old girl with whom Jason Myroth had a playdate knocked on the door, startling Chase. He fled the residence, stealing Dan Meredith's car. The girl alerted a neighbour. The neighbour broke into the Myroth home where he discovered the bodies and contacted the authorities. Upon entering the home, police discovered that Chase had left perfect handprints and perfect imprints of the soles of his shoes in Evelyn's blood. Chase, meanwhile, took David's corpse home with him, where he chopped off his penis and used it as a straw through which he sucked the blood out of the body. He then sliced the corpse open and consumed several internal organs and made smoothies out of others, finally disposing of the corpse at a nearby church. After the Wallen murder, FBI agents Russ Vorpagel and Robert Ressler were called in to investigate. They compiled a profile of the killer. They determined that the killer would be tall, malnourished, a loner, physically unclean, and that most importantly, he would continue to kill. 5 days after the mass murder and after hearing the FBI profile, Nancy Holden contacted police saying she believed Richard Chase could be the killer. The police ran a background check on Chase where they came across his registration of a .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol. Detectives and a team of police went to Chase's apartment where they had asked to speak with them. Chase refused. The detectives and the police hid down in the hallway and waited for Chase to leave, arresting him when he left the apartment carrying a blood-stained box. His parka and shoes were likewise blood-stained. Inside were pieces of shredded, blood-soaked wallpaper and the blood-stained .22 with which he had committed his murders. Chase claimed that the bloody wallpaper and bloody gun were a result of his killing several dogs. When the police performed a search of Chase's person, they found that he was carrying Dan Meredith's wallet. Detectives performed a search of Chase's apartment. They found the walls, floor, ceiling, refrigerator, and all of Chase's eating and drinking utensils soaked in blood. On the counter was the blender Chase used to make his smoothies. It was caked in coagulated blood and the rotting matter of internal organs. Inside the fridge, police found several animal parts wrapped in aluminum foil, David's brains in a Tupperware container and pieces of his body wrapped in saran wrap, and several of Evelyn Myroth and Teresa Wallen's internal organs. On another counter were several pet collars. On his kitchen table he had spread out numerous diagrams depicting various aspects of human biology. In 1979, Chase stood trial on 6 counts of murder. In order to avoid the death penalty, the defence tried to have Chase found guilty of second-degree murder, which would result in a life sentence. Their case hinged on Chase's history of mental illness and the lack of planning in his crimes, evidence that they were not premeditated. On May 8th, the jury found Chase guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder. The defence asked for a clemency hearing, in which a judge determined that Chase was not legally insane. Chase was sentenced to die in the gas chamber. Waiting to die, Chase became a feared presence in the prison. The other inmates, aware of his graphic and bizarre crimes, feared him, and according to prison officials, they often tried to convince Chase to commit suicide, too fearful to get close enough to kill him themselves. Chase also granted a series of interviews with Robert Ressler, during which he spoke of his fears of Nazis and UFOs, claiming that although he had killed, it was not his fault. He had been forced to kill to keep himself alive, which he believed any person would do. He asked Ressler to give him access to a radar gun with which he could apprehend the Nazi UFOs so that the Nazis could stand trial for the murders. He also handed Ressler a large amount of macaroni and cheese, which he had been hoarding in his pants pockets, believing that the prison officials were in league with the Nazis in attempting to kill him. On December 26, 1980, a guard doing cell checks found Chase lying awkwardly on his bed, not breathing. An autopsy determined that Chase committed suicide with an overdose of prison doctor prescribed antidepressants that he had been saving up for the last few weeks.